challenges of humanity. They come to define generations. So many people have tried the 100 Beyblade challenge.
test.
I've completed it a few times. That means winning 100 battles using one Bey, as you may already know. Now, this has become a standard challenge ever since it was introduced in Beyblade Burst. But that's nothing. In Beyblade Burst Quad Strikes Episode 8, Xander introduced the 300 Blader challenge. So, if we assume that 100 Bey battles can take about 30 minutes, which is about how long it took me, then that means that the 300 Bey challenge can take about an hour and a half to complete. In Beyblade Burst Surge, however, Hyuga and Rantaro had to win 500 Beyblade battles in a row in order for the Asahi brothers to challenge Louis Shirosagi for a rematch. Now, in theory, this would have taken them about 2.5 hours to complete, but arguably the strongest show of power, in my opinion, would have to be to beat 100 opponents' Beyblades all at once. This was done by the great Jenga Hagane back in Beyblade Metal Fusion's first episode, and it basically happened in less than 5 minutes. In real life though, this is an impossible feat, so instead, one of the longest Beyblade marathons ever recorded, at least to my knowledge, was done by the Beyblade Geeks, who have Bey battled for about 24 hours, kind of, but not really, and I'll tell you why later on in the video. But if you haven't seen it, I've linked their video in the description below. But if you want to become a pro at Beyblade though, you'll need to gain years of experience. They talked about this in Beyblade X, as Robin's first pro opponent, Ishiyama, had battled and trained for 10 years in order to become a pro blader. And the same applies to real life, as we've talked about in a previous video. But what would happen if you, the geeks, or I, Bey battled for 1 year straight as a challenge? How many battles would that be? And how good could you become after 10 years of blading? Let's find out. This video is sponsored by Mall of Toys. Save 5% at checkout when using code BeybladeDad. Now you might be like, bro, I Beyblade every day already. I do it for hours at a time, and I've been doing so for years. Well, I hear you, but it's not the same as what I'm proposing. I'm talking about constantly Bey battling 24/7, 365, and that means missing out on a lot more than work or school. But we'll get to that in a moment. There have been world records held for running non-stop and even staying awake for days at a time, and bleeding for that long would be an extremely difficult task. Humans aren't built to do things non-stop, especially for more than a few weeks. And so, what would happen if you battled for 365 days straight without rest? In all likelihood, you'd die. Maybe. No, probably. The record for longest continuous running is held by Dean Karznazes. He ran 350 miles non-stop. It took him 3 days, 8 hours and 44 minutes, which is just over 1% of 1 year. Not to downplay his achievement by any means. Okay, if he can run non-stop for that long, that's still how long I'd expect a world record for Beyblade to be. But if we want to Beyblade non-stop for a year, we would need some basic guidelines in order to do it safely, just in case you want to try the 1 year Beyblade challenge. This would be a record-breaking challenge, to say the least. This means that all day and all night, rain or shine, weekend or not, you have to be consistently bleeding without stop. Now let's be honest, because in truth, you can't, I can't, no one can physically do something non-stop. That's because apart from eating and shitting, you also need to sleep. And while some people may be able to survive about 20 days without food and about 3 days without water, you'll start to notice that if you go without sleeping, even for 1 day, that your attitude, attention span, and strength will start to deteriorate. And remember, we are trying to win the Beyblade battles too. If you try and not sleep for more than 4 consecutive days, it is said that it can cause hallucinations, impaired judgment, and lack of motivation. The world record for a person staying awake was set by Robert McDonald, who went 18 days, 21 hours and 40 minutes without sleeping, as stated in the Guinness Book of World Records website, linked below. Alright, so let's not go crazy with this challenge, as most teens would need at least 9 hours of sleep, and adults need about 6 hours at the least to function properly. Although I have met people who claim that they only need 4 hours of sleep, but I'm not counting it because it's not necessarily safe. So anyways, in theory, you can probably do the first 24 hours straight, as the Beyblade geeks insinuated they did. I say insinuated because they actually didn't do 24 hours. I found out because I was wondering how many Bey battles they had done in their video I mentioned before, and found that it was the same 30 minutes on a loop for 24 hours. It was actually part of a April Fool's joke video type of thing. So okay, feasibly doing the 1-year challenge is already becoming an impossible feat if you want to actually Bey battle for more than 20 hours on consecutive days. So how many Bey battles could you possibly do in one day? And for that matter, a whole year. Okay, so this was a little hard to figure out an exact figure for, as some Bey battles can be very short and some can last for a minute or so. Now, I'd say on average, a Bey battle lasts about 40 seconds, plus the time it takes to reset your launcher. I'd say it takes about a minute and a half per Bey battle on average. So in 24 hours, that's roughly 960 Beyblade battles, which honestly doesn't seem too bad to try. If we keep doing the math though, in a year, that's about 350,400 Bey battles if you were to do them non-stop. If you had done them for 20 hours a day, that's still 800 Bey battles in a day and 292,000 in a year. But if you did, you'll likely run into more problems as you're Bey battling, not only with yourself, but the Beys, the launcher, and possibly the stadium too. As we all know, after a lot of battles, stadiums crack, launchers can start to skip, and Beyblades can break. This means that you'll likely need to have a replacement Beyblade if you're only using one for the challenge, as I assume you would. You'd also be missing out on school, work, and even birthdays. You'd have to devote yourself to blading, and while you may be able to still watch TV as you Bey battle, you may find that constant blading can become boring. When humans repeat the same activities, we tend to get bored. Although we are creatures of habit and repetition, when we eat the same foods, perform the same tasks, and hang out with the same people, if we repeat the same activities, then we can start to get bored. But remember that repetition of an activity can be used or abused. It can build good habits and could be the key to mastering a new skill. Repetition is the name of the game when it comes to Beyblade, as when we practice, it helps us with the patterns and evolve our gameplay. So in the last 10 years, have you been Bey battling constantly, or will you start to do so for the next 10 years? Because as Malcolm Gladwell states in his book Outliers, mastering a skill is more than repeating the same thing for 10 years. It's the act of focusing in on progress and making deliberate measures that result in actions that produce winning results. He introduced the 10,000 hour rule, which suggests that by practicing an activity for 20 hours a week for 10 years, one can master any field. And among other factors, he talks about achieving high levels of success with skills you can develop and talents you may have been born with. I definitely suggest reading the book Outliers. I've linked it in the description as well if you want to listen to it or read it. I personally think that to become a pro blader, it takes more than constant blading. Even in the show, just because you've been battling a long time doesn't mean you'll always win. If you want to watch another theory, click here. Or if you want to watch some slow motion Beyblade, click here. I hope you have some fun. And of course, let it rip.
With the first finish, you have now completed your 300 blade